you very much. We also have Congressman Lowenthal who's joined us. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Well, let's just figure out how serious people are taking this. Have we gotten beyond the let's sit down and discuss it phase with other countries, or do we have an action plan that if we discover cyber attacks going on, that there will be some type of retaliation against the criminal element or the government itself that is engaged in this cyber crime?
So we face a wide range of threats in cyberspace, from nation states to transnationally organized criminal groups. And how we respond to those different threats depends on what the threat is. And one of the problems, of course, is that attribution is difficult in this area, and you don't know often exactly what group is doing what activity. However, speaking first from the cybercrime side, we are promoting around the world what is called the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, so that every country has strong laws in this area. They have the capability to actually prosecute those laws, and that there is better international cooperation. We have something. How
many people have been prosecuted in China for cyber?
I'd have to get back to you on that, sir. I don't know.
Can you tell me any country in the world where we've had the prosecutions and what they were composed of?
We've had many prosecutions in the United States. For a long
time.
No,
I'm not the United States or the other countries of the world.
There's been prosecutions in many of our close allies in Australia and England, in Germany, and France. There have been prosecutions,
and what happens to someone in Australia? Or
it depends on their particular legal system. Of course, in the United States, we have pretty substantial penalties based on financial harm for cybercrime. Other countries have similar regimes, and what's important about this Budapest Convention, this convention that's really the only existing instrument and the best instrument for cybercrime, is it creates certain kinds of offenses that didn't exist before. So you may remember years ago when there was the I love you virus, and they thought they found the perpetrator, and the country where they found him didn't have any law that criminalized that issue. So the Budapest Convention allows countries then to modernize their laws so there won't be safe havens for this conduct, and you can prosecute them.
What would you suggest that we do, for example, if we come to the conclusion that a cyber attack, both in terms of a criminal cyber attack and also strategic cyber attacks, are actually being blessed, if not perpetuated, and actually involved in the government of that country?
I think we have to look at all the tools that that we have at our disposal as a national government. But from my perspective, obviously, the tools that we employ are the diplomatic tools, and those tools, I think, are important to make clear to a government that this is a concern.
And what are those tools? I mean, diplomatic tools.
Well, the diplomatic tools are, I think, twofold. One is engaging directly with that government, and saying to them that this conduct is something that we find unacceptable.
Well, I'm sure that will upset them a lot.
Well, but I think you have to look at their overall relationship. With a lot of these countries, we have many different types of relationships: economic relationships, other relationships.
Have we done any of that?
Yes. In fact, if you just recently, the President has made clear in his call with the new President.
What actual sanctions have we put on any country? For example, it's clear that China has been deeply involved in this. Everybody knows it, supposedly. What have we done to say, okay, here's your deadline, and this is exactly what's going to happen? You are no longer going to be able to purchase certain things in the United States, or you'll be able to export to the United States, or whatever retaliation we'd have.
Sir, I would speak from my perspective and what we're doing diplomatically. I'd say one thing, though. I think in any of these threats, we'd have to be careful of looking at this in terms of retaliation, if it's a retaliation in terms of in-kind retaliation. We want to make sure that we are addressing the problem and addressing it in the larger context of any country we're dealing with. But what I would say is that
we got to accuse the right people,
right? And I do think that if you look at the statements just in the last couple of weeks, and let me go back a ways, we have engaged the Chinese in a strategic security dialogue on sensitive issues. We've only had 2 meetings of that group, last year and the year before. We raised cyber at both of those meetings. Secretary Clinton last year said that the theft of intellectual property and trade secrets was one of the greatest concerns of the United States, and we've had very frank discussions. And I can't really get into our bilateral private discussions in this setting, but I'd be happy to follow up later on. And then recently, of course, you've heard Tom Donilon, the National Security Advisor, talk about the great concern that this poses for us, and said three things. One, we want China to understand the scope and seriousness of this problem, of this activity emanating from China. Two, that we want to make sure that they stop, that they actually take some action to investigate and to stop this activity. And three, that we need a sustained dialogue with the Chinese. And we have some dialogue, but we don't have a sustained dialogue.
Well, I'm sure that...
And the President said that,
I'm
too.
sure threatening to have a sustained dialogue is going to really deter these fellows, along with the proclamations of great concern. All I know is that I just asked you a specific question about specific actions, and all I got was a list of words that had been spoken. And I'm sure that words coming out of the mouth of officials from the United States is terribly frightening to the Chinese. Let me turn to Mr. Keating now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mentioned